Mary, Queen of Heaven. Why though? The redemptive work of Jesus and his kingdom fulfills many Old Testament types and foreshadowings. The criticism or the rejection of this title given to Mary, Queen of Heaven or Queen of Heaven and Earth, seems to be mostly based on a misunderstanding that the title is a Catholic imposition upon the woman of Revelation 12. But we don't begin with Revelation 12. The woman clothed with the sun and crowned with 12 stars, interpreted in light of Davidic typology, meaning types found in the Old Testament related to David or the kingdom of David or the lineage of David, makes clear that this woman we find in Revelation 12 holds an exalted place in relation to Israel. This vision given to John evokes Joseph's dream in Genesis. The 12 stars that crown her head represent the 12 tribes of Israel. In Joseph's dream, the sun and the moon and 11 stars bow down to him. The 11 stars stood for his brothers, these fellow tribal patriarchs of Israel. In the ancient Near East, most nations were monarchies ruled by a king, and most cultures practiced polygamy, so a given king may have several wives. Israel's monarchy arose in this very specific historic circumstance and particular geographic region. The problems with this monarchical structure were, first, whom should the people honor as queen if the king has many wives? And more importantly, whose son would receive the right to succeed the throne? In most Near Eastern cultures, these problems were resolved by a single custom, that the woman ordinarily honored as queen was not the wife of the king, but his mother. This custom was persuasive, since it served not only to stabilize the kingdom, it ensured continuity of dynastic succession, since the queen was the wife of the former king and mother to the present king. But Christdefender, this is Gentile stuff. What does this have to do with Israel? What does this have to do with the Davidic kingdom? Welp, Israel wasn't always a kingdom. In fact, in God's plan, God was to be their king. The people, however, begged the prophet Samuel to give them a king, saying, "We will have a king over us that we also may be like all the nations." Typical. God, then, allowed the people of Israel to have their way, but for his glory. How? Israel's monarchy would providentially foreshadow the kingship of God's own son. What a parental power move. You can have your way, but God's will still prevail. Israel's kingdom served as a type of the kingdom of God. They wanted a king to be like all the nations. And historically, this played out as the people looked around them for models of governance. Following the models of the neighboring lands, then, they established a dynasty, a legal system, a royal court, and a queen mother. So when Israel demanded a king like all the nations, they adopted not just kingship, but also the dynastic structure of surrounding cultures, including the role of Queen Mother. David's first successor was his son Solomon, who reigned with his mother Bathsheba. Bathsheba's influence in securing Solomon's throne is a prime example of this adaptation. Bathsheba sits at his right hand. She is Israel's queen mother. There were many queen mothers. Or in Hebrew, Gebira. Gebira was more than a title. It was an office that held real authority. So Bathsheba went to King Solomon to speak to him on behalf of Adonijah. And the king rose to meet her and bowed to her. Then he sat on his throne and had a seat brought for the king's mother, and she sat on his right. What are we reading here? We see the queen mother approach her son, the king, to request a thing on behalf of another person. In other words, the queen mother is acting as an advocate. This confirms what we know about queen mothers in other Near Eastern cultures. For example, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the queen mother in Mesopotamia was considered an intercessor, an advocate for the people. We also see Solomon get up from his throne when his mother enters the room and approaches him. He does no such thing for any other. The queen mother is unique among royal subjects. Anyone else following protocol would rise in Solomon's presence. Even the king's wives would bow to him, yet Solomon rises to honor Bathsheba, his mother. Interesting. He shows her further honor by bowing before her and by seating her in the place of greatest honor. She sat on his right. One of the common concerns that Protestants have of the title given to Mary, Queen of Heaven, is that they believe this detracts from Christ's kingship. Solomon's power and authority are in no way threatened by Bathsheba. He rises for her, he bows before her, yet he remains the monarch. He is king. There's no confusion. She sits at his right hand, not vice versa. And this is not out of obligation, but obedience, filial love, the love of a son for his mother. Proverbs 31 provides us with a striking illustration of how seriously a king took the queen mother's counsel, introduced as the words of Lemuel, king of Massa, which his mother taught him. The chapter goes on to give substantial practical instruction in governance. The queen mother was unique in her relationship to the king as a political advisor and even a strategist, as an advocate for the people, and as a subject who could be counted on for her frankness with the king, based on their relationship as son and mother. At the wedding feast of Cana, Mary approaches her son, the king, to intercede for the people. Just as Bathsheba spoke to Solomon on behalf of Adonijah, Mary counsels her son about the matter at hand, yet she counsels others to obey him, not her. Jesus then speaks to his mother as her superior, yet defers to her suggestion. He obeys. Just as one might expect a Davidic king to grant the wish of his queen mother, the everlasting king would come from David's house, from David's body. When the male child came to rule the nations, he would rule as a Davidic king, just as David himself had sung. This typological relationship wouldn't cease with the fact of kingship. It would include many of the small details of the monarchy. Like David established a holy city in Jerusalem, so too his ultimate successor would establish a new heavenly Jerusalem. David's first successor reigned beside the queen mother, so too would David's final and everlasting successor. The Davidic monarchy finds its perfect fulfillment in the reign of Christ, and there was never a Davidic king without a Davidic queen, who was the king's own mother. With the establishment of Jesus Christ as the new and eternal king of the universal kingdom of God, we also have the establishment of a new queen mother and advocate, mother of the king. The Virgin of Nazareth becomes the Gebira, or Great Lady of all nations contained within the kingdom of God. She becomes the new advocate for all the peoples within this universal kingdom. It is for this reason that her cousin Elizabeth greets Mary with the expression, Mother of my Lord, which was an ancient expression for the Queen Mother in the language of the ancient Semitic courts. The new Queen Mother, Mary, performs her role as advocate for the needs of the people by presenting her kingly son with the needs of the wedding couple at Cana, thus intercedes for the first public miracle of Christ. Now, Revelation 12, the woman, in light of Davidic typology, her queenly role in the kingdom which came forth from the 12 tribes of Israel and which now reigns over the 12 apostles and all Christ's disciples in the new and universal kingdom, Mary, Queen and Advocate, is the woman clothed with the Son, who is also crowned with a crown of 12 stars.